go to Bio-Nexus. Bio-Nexus. Very simple instruction. You are not using your data, so no complaint. The instruction I gave was that you should fully charge your phone and come with earpiece. So once again, good morning everyone. Today this is going to be our introductory lecture on it's going to be our introductory lecture on genetics and the environment. And by that, what we mean is that we are going to look at what are those important uh, aspects of genetics. Then, how does the gene that we have influences the environment? So, just like I said, the first thing you need to know is to know everything that has to do with the DNA, that is the hereditary, that is the gene. So we need to know everything about, there's no way you will offer any course, be it in environmental biology, microbiology, or any aspect of biology, without you knowing fully what genes is or what genes are. And that's the reason why this course this course cannot proceed without talking about the first Mendel, that is the father of genetics, which is regarded as Mendel. So here, this lecture is going to introduce you to how genetic makeup and the environment will interact. So don't forget the title has to do with genetics, one, then the second one has to do with biology. That is has to do with environment one side and genetics the other side. So that's the reason why that what we are trying to look at is how does the environment or how does the gene affect the environment. So we are going to start this lecture about what do you have when you have an organism. Whenever you have an organism, what do you have? What are those things that are inside the organism, a full organism? Go back to your cell biology, you will remember that the cell, when you have a cell, that cell can be either um, eukaryotic or prokaryotic organism, cell. And whichever one you pick, whichever one that you have, that means you must have a cell one side and another cell the other side. So aggregation of cell is going to give you tissue, and aggregation of tissue is going to give you organ, and aggregation, collectivity of that organ is going to lead you to a whole organism. So when you pick any organism, be it plant or animal, the first thing is that organism, is it eukaryotic, is it prokaryotic? That is in one side. So whenever you pick the cell, inside that cell, if you are talking about any eukaryotic, eu means true and karyon means nucleus. That is, if you are talking about eukaryotic, you will go into your main focus is going to be on inside the cell, which is going to be inside the nucleus. So, and that's what this lecture is going to introduce us to, and that is going to be, we have to look at what is inside an organism, and what are those things that surround an organism. So how do they work together? So to influence the way they grow, the way they develop, the way they fight against infection, or the way they resist diseases. Then how do they adapt to that environment? Don't forget that one of the um, very important characteristics of an organism is ability to adapt to a new environment. So that is telling you that when you pick an organism from any natural environment and you introduce it to a new environment or a new habitat, the way you just discover that is going to take a very short time, then the organism will continue to grow and develop in that organism. So that is telling you that that organism have adapted into that environment. And according to Charles Darwin, which stated about the survival of the fittest. So, for example, we can also make cite an example of you, the first time of coming to this school. You just everything you just say, me, I don't even like anything about this place. This condition is harsh. This condition is I don't want to stay around this place at all. Okay, so and um saying that one thing that is very, very important that you should know about this course is that it is genetics and the environment. Genetics, please take the baby out. I've given you that warning. Take the baby out. So whenever you come across the first thing, if you want to perform or do well in any course at all, is that you need to understand the concept from the beginning. The title is genetics and the environment. That is, how does genetics influences the environment, and how does the environment also influences genetics. And don't forget that I said whenever they say genetics, gene, that is the study of heredity. So, and the father of genetics is nobody but um, Gregor Mendel. Gregor Mendel. That's the reason why that the first thing should know is what are those things that are inside genetics and what are those things that are inside the environment. So those one that when two of them now interact together, it is going to influence the growth, the development, disease resistance, as well as adaptation and survival in changing environment. So the aim is to help students understand that traits, anytime you come across traits, trait means characters. Trait means what? Characters, or the behavior of an individual. So that is why you can also say that you can also define genetics as the study of behavior, genetic foundation of behavior. That is, if you see somebody acting anyhow, uh, that person must have been influenced by. So the aim is to help students understand that traits are not determined by genes alone. They are determined by the environment. Are you getting me? So you should know that the way an organism, even if it's just microorganism, everything you see in that microorganism, if it is growing, developing, or has the ability to survive in a new environment, it is not only genetics that is influencing it alone. It is not only the environment that is influencing it alone. It has to do with the interaction, the joint influences of these two. So that is the reason why that in this course you must understand what is called evolution. And what do we mean by evolution? Evolution is development with modification. As you are growing, you are developing, then you are also adapting, or you are acquiring new characteristics or new traits. So we also look at what do we mean by biodiversity. Bio is from living. Whenever you come across the word bio, that means it is the study of living things. And when we talk about diversity, diversity is actually talking about differences, the way different organisms come together. If you have any environment, you will know that no single organism can exist in isolation. It has to coexist with other organisms, including microorganisms, micro environment, and others. So that is biodiversity. We are going to see more about this as we go on. And the way they also respond to environmental stress is also very, very important. Then in this course, we also look at pollution biology. That is, we have to look at how the coexistence of organism will, and in any way, is going to um, when there is toxin, when the environment is toxic, we are going to see the way it is going to influence uh, that organism. So you can equally, the way you are listening to this lecture, that means there is, if you say you are healthy, it's not only you that is healthy, your environment is also healthy. That's the reason why you can say you are healthy. If you are sick, that means even the environment around you is sick. So that's why, and that is exactly what we are trying to see in this course. If you have anything like population, population cannot exist alone. It consists of the way the environment, the way the genetic makeup, the way you are trying to adapt to that environment is influencing you. Then we'll also look at climate change effects on species. Climate change effect on species. Then what are the human health within environmental context? I've said that so far. So that means we will not, the first thing we will now do going forward in this course is that we are going to concentrate it in 5 different areas. 5 different areas, which are the major areas. The first one is that we are going to look at the key concepts, concepts. So this section is going to help us to be able to understand the basic concept of genetics. Basic concept of genetics. And the goal of this aspect is to know what genes are and how they function before they will be able to connect with the environment. So what we are saying in essence is that we are going to start introducing ourselves to some basic things, basic genetic terms that you must have known. I have actually mentioned that the study of heredity and variation is called genetics. Study of what? Heredity and variation. And what do we mean by heredity? Heredity is the resemblance, the passing on of certain traits from your parents to the offspring. So anytime you are studying, don't forget that genetics is as old as our forefathers. During that time, there are some belief that they had in that time that were erroneous. For example, you see a pregnant mother in those days, they will tell you that please, I don't want to give birth to somebody that's going to look like you, so please stop looking at me, or don't even march over me. All these are telling us that they have the concepts of gene. And don't forget, for us, for some of us that are from this part of the world, Yoruba, anytime you see somebody acting anyhow, they will just say, please, just leave him alone. Junule baba tiẹ̀ nìyẹn. That is, the gene from their family is the one that is controlling his behavior. So that is to tell you that the study of heredity and variation is as old as humankind, is as old as mankind, is as old even when there was no education, no formal education. There were some people that will tell you, please, before you get married, please, the first question is that, please, where are you from? Where are you from? Because they want to know about your family. They want to know about you, because the family you are actually coming from determines what is going to be your behavior. So to actually tell you that by now, as a student of environmental biology, the first thing is you must take genetics as your primary. That's why so that is where we are going to start today. Now, DNA, you will be coming across DNA all of most times. And this one, okay, so we will be coming across DNA almost all the time. So what do we mean by DNA? If you are saying DNA is the molecule that carries all the genetic information. So you should know, if you don't know before, you should know now that DNA is so powerful. It's so powerful because that is the container of all the genes in you. That is what influences your. Can I have a marker? Rep, do you have any marker? Okay. Now, what I'm trying to say is that if you draw a cell, please look up. If you draw a cell like this, inside that cell you have nucleus. Inside that nucleus, you are going to have a DNA. Then, what do we now mean by DNA? I said a cell. Inside the cell, you have the nucleus. Inside the nucleus, if you are talking about eukaryotes, inside the nucleus, you have what is called the chromosome. You have the chromosome. Inside that chromosome, you have the DNA. And certain segments of that DNA, certain segments are what is called a gene. So let's look at what do we. Okay, DNA is the molecule that carries all genetic information. All genetic information. If anybody wants to, if anybody has an access to your DNA, that that means that person has the totality about you. It has the total information about you. So with that DNA, So you should know at this point in time that DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid. You have to go back to your cell biology so as to be able to see. Then it is found in the nucleus of eukaryotic cell. The DNA is found in the nucleus of eukaryotic cell. I've just mentioned that. Apart from that, it is made up of 4 nucleotide bases. 4, you have to know, it's made up of 4 nucleotide bases. Number 1, adenine, which is called A. A stands for adenine. The second one is T, which is thiamine. The third one is cytosine, which is represented by C. The last one is G, which is guanine. And every time, adenine will always pair with thiamine. Guanine will always pair with cytosine. So, and don't forget that DNA is double-stranded. Double-stranded. If you go to my YouTube where you have Omega Bioentertainment, you will see and know more about what a DNA is. Okay, so DNA is double-stranded. The sequence in one strand can, whenever you see and you know the sequence in one strand, that's going to give you the idea of what is going to be in the other strand. So that means if one strand is CTA, what's going to be in the other strand? CTA. What's going to be the other strand? CTA. What's going to be the other strand? I said C will pair with what? G. So G. C will pair with what? A. I said A. G. What? What was what we are looking for? What are the bases that I said we are looking for? What is the base that I've just said that we are looking for that is in the other strand now? CTA. That is telling you that the other strand is going to be GAC. CTA. The second strand is going to be what? GAC. So DNA determines inherited traits such as blood group, color of flower, leaf shape. So it is this DNA that determines the blood group you belong. If you are blood group O, for example now, it is what is being determined by the DNA. So we are going to see all that is the reason why this course is going to be is somehow very, very voluminous, because you have to, everything in genetics, you must know it. Everything about the environment, you must know it. And you should be able to know how the two of them now influence each other. So the second thing that you need to know is genes. Genes. What are genes? I told you that a gene is a specific segment of DNA that code for a particular trait. So just like when I said that GTAC, that is a gene. That set of code that comes together, CTA in one strand, that is a gene. So it's just a segment. You see, DNA is so long. It's so long that sometimes it can even span through certain kilometers. But inside that certain kilometers of DNA, when you start pulling it out from the nucleus, certain segments are what are responsible for your behavior. If somebody is so intelligent, there are certain segments, certain genes in that DNA that are responsible for that. You should know that. Then, for example, a gene for eye color, now, a gene for eye color, or a gene for drought resistance, that is ability to be able to resist to resistance, and a gene for enzyme production. All these are certain segments of DNA. So you should know that. Then genes can be active. or inactive depending on the environmental condition. Sometimes your gene can be so active. Do you know that it is very possible for somebody to be intelligent here, very, very intelligent, very, very intelligent, if that person goes to where the environment is not that friendly. You now discover that that person that you know to be very, very intelligent is now what? Dull, very, very dull. So there is a lot of interaction between an organism and the rest of the environment depending on the genetic makeup. Then another thing is the chromosome. I have told you, I've just explained the relationship between DNA, the genes, and the chromosome. I've just explained it to you, and the nucleus. So I said inside the eukaryotic cell, you have the central part, which is called the nucleus. Don't forget that inside the nucleus, that is like the federal capital territory, where there is flow, control, coordination of all information about that organism. And it cannot be apart from, just like Nigeria. The capital of Nigeria is what? Abuja. But inside Abuja, that is where you have the seat of power, which is Aso Rock. So the same thing, every part of the country, you have to connect to Abuja. If in Aso Rock there is um there is peace, that means that peace will spread to other parts of the country. So that is that. So that is a chromosome. I say DNA is packed into chromosome. I've just explained to you that DNA is inside the chromosome, but the way it is packed is determined by nature. Okay, so human being, there are 23 pairs in human. 23 pairs, they exist in pairs. When you see a chromosome, one chromosome will have its own sister, and one of the sister, for example, you should know that when they said you have 23 pairs, 23 will come from your mother and 23 will come from your father. So nobody can say that I don't like my father and I want to deny everything about my father. It is not possible, because the chromosome in you is determined. It was donated by equally by your father and your mother. So if you say I don't have anything in common with my father at all, so I am denying my father. If I were to be that father, I would just ask you, sit you down, please. I know you want to deny me forever, but please, can you just give me my own chromosome that I have donated? That is it now. And if it is your father that is denying you, you say, Daddy, I said, I know you can deny me, and you are denying me already, but please remove everything that connects me to you. So to actually tell you that chromosome, and each chromosome has what it is standing for. There are 23 pairs of chromosome from 1 to, listen o, from chromosome 1 to 22. They are called autosomes. Autosomes. Auto, anywhere you come across auto is self. Auto means that without you touching it, just like when you have a auto car. Auto car, that means immediately you just set it on, it will continue the journey until eternity. It will not stop. You don't have to be pressing gear. The only thing is just be directing the steering. That is auto. Autosome, that is self. That is from chromosome 1 to 22 is responsible for growth. That is mitosis. Mitotic division is what replicates that. Okay, then another thing is that another one that you should know, then the last one, which is chromosome 23, is what determines whether you are a male or you are a female. If you are a female, that means you have XX chromosome. If you are a male, that means you are XY. And as a genetist or as an environmental biologist, you should know that under normal circumstances, what determines whether you are a male or a female is from your father. Huh? So many times, our tradition is so funny in the sense that, and some of us, we are also very ignorant about genetics, and that's why some of us, we have suffered a lot, and that's why even so many homes were broken in the past. They'll just tell you when you get married, they'll just tell you first child female, second child female, third child female. The next thing you will see is that your in-law will be coming around. They will tell you that, please, there must have been a lot of suggestion, to your husband. See, this one that is giving birth to female, 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 female. Are you so sure that everything is all right? So before you know it, there will be suggestion that, please, somebody, that girl is greeting you now, greeting you. This girl is a so, and by the time before you know it, they will just connive together and they will send you packing because you are giving birth to female. It is never your fault. It is even the fault of the man if you know, because what you have is what you can give. What you don't have, you cannot give. You have excess. Where are they expecting you to give them? Why? It is the father, or it is the man that has XY. So the fault is not even from you. The fault is from the husband. So if you are you are passing through something like that, just sit them down. Let me teach you very simple genetics. Me, I am a female. I am XX. Where do you want me to get Y from? And the chance that Y will be donated during fertilization is 50. And the chance that it's going to be Y, is going to be X from the man is also 50. It's equal. So if your son refuses to give me Y, where do you expect me to get the Y from? So that is because everything that has to do with chromosome depend on that individual. Then chromosomes carry thousands of genes. Don't forget that I said genes, they are segments of DNA. And this segment of DNA, which can be in form of enzyme, for example, diabetes patients, that means their enzyme can no longer metabolize glucose. Instead of them to store the excess in form of a glycogen that is not going to be toxic. So the next thing is that the person will just be excreting glucose and you say, it was sugar. That means so that means that specific enzyme, that specific gene is already in problem. So you should know that. Then another one is, by now you should know what they call genotype and what they call phenotype. Geno is from the gene. You cannot see it. It is not physical. It is something that is inside the gene. And don't forget what they call gene. Genotype, that means they are being controlled by gene. But when we talk about phenotype, from that is pheno means physical, something you can see, like your height, like your skin color, like so many. But anytime we are dealing with a genotype, so genotype, the actual genetic makeup, like AA, like AA, SS, all these are determined. They are determined at the genetic level, and you don't have power over it. Not even physical that you have power over it, but the physical expression of traits like tallness, the skin color, the disease resistance. You will discover that if two people are infected with the same microorganism, two people with the same microorganism, the way it is going to, the severity of that infection from both will be different. So ability for you to be able to resist infection. Do you know that up to now, some people they can stay with somebody that is infected and they will never get that infection, while others are getting it. Others that are even too far from them, they will get it, and somebody that is very close to them will not get it. So the reason is being controlled by what? By gene, ability to fight against infection. Okay? Huh? Is determined by genotype. Then environment strongly influences phenotype. So the environment has a great influence on the physicality of somebody. For example, now, do you know that somebody who is in Africa and is very, very tall, very, very thin, whenever they get to another place, you see them coming up plumping, coming up so fast, coming up with. So the environment has a lot to determine the physicality or the expression of this. Now, the second aspect is that we want to know the influence, the environmental influences on organism, even with the same genes, organism can differ. You know, I've been saying it. Organism can differ because environmental condition affect gene expression and their development. So that should be your take home. Your take home should just be that in this course and in this life, the way there is an interaction between a what between the environment and that organism is very, very what is very, very important, and they are inseparable. You cannot separate the environment from the organism. Okay, and number one out of this environmental factor is light. It affects photosynthesis, plant growth and flowering. So, and don't forget that you as an organism, you as human, everything that you will need for your survival, you are going to get it from plants. You are going to get it from your plant. Anywhere you are, if you get to any environment and you cannot see the greenness of the environment, all the plants around there, they are withered, they are already drying up. So please don't stay in that condition, don't stay in that environment. That's telling you that any environment that cannot make plants to survive will not allow even you to survive. So as an environmental biologist, that is one of the reasons, and that is one of your core areas to be able to make sure that you have great influence. So for example, now we expect that people under normal circumstances that are living in this area where there is a very green vegetation, that means photosynthesis is taking place. That means you have less pollution from that environment. And people that are living in Lagos, in urban cities, and where you don't even have green plants, under normal circumstances, as an environmental biologist, that is meant for you to start planting potted plants, that inside your own room you should have pots, potted plants that you'll be wetting every day, at least one way or the other. That will make that environment, because the plant trap is going to trap some toxic substances, and is going to metabolize it so as uh, to give you a very safe environment. So it affects photosynthesis, it affects the plant growth, and it also affects the flowering. So the second one is that if you are talking about low light, wherever there is a low light that you hardly have a sunlight, what you should be expecting is that the plant is going to be what long, slender stem, and that is what is called etiolation. Okay, and where you have UV light increases melanin in human skin, and what is melanin? That is the um, melanin is the what determines the skin color. What determines your skin color is called what? Melanin. For example, now we are going to learn it in this course about albino. About albino. The difference between you and albino is that their own melanin, their own melanin is already affected. So they don't have the ability to for skin pigmentation is already hampered. Then the second environmental condition is a temperature. Cold can activate certain four color genes. Four. That is a four. What do you call four? Do you know that? That is a four color in rabbits. Okay. Then high temperature can reduce plant enzyme efficiency. You should know that protein generally increase in temperature with the nature protein is going to affect protein. Increase in temperature affect protein or enzyme. And don't forget that enzymes are protein in nature. Okay. Then C, pollutants. I've said it before that heavy metals like lead and mercury will disrupt, will affect, will impact negatively on the way gene function. And air pollution trigger what is called inflammatory genes in humans. Inflammatory genes in humans. What do we call inflammation? Inflammation is your let me explain it this way. When you say inflammation, inflammation means um bloated out. When there is a bloated and it's part of what our our level of immunity. So although which is responsible for asthma. So we will see more of this. Then another condition is pathogen. What are pathogens? Patho. Anywhere you come across patho, that is disease causing. So pathogens are disease causing microorganisms. They are disease causing what? Microorganisms. They are called pathogens. Pathogens, huh? Okay. So infection trigger defense genes in plant and animal. So there are certain infection, there are some pathogens that are very, although they are disease causing, but the fact that they are disease causing, they are also helping your ability to fight against infection. So there are certain diseases that normally, if you do not pass through that kind of disease, you will not be able to know how to fight them. Are you getting me? For example, now in microbiology, we normally talk of immunity. We talk about immunity, and there are two types of immunity. There is what we call the innate immunity, and there is what we call what, and there is what we call adaptive immunity. The difference between innate is what you are born with, your ability to fight against infection from your birth is innate, but innate is very naive. Innate is very limited. Innate is not specific. But when we talk about adaptive means that you must have. So when you say innate, that means the person does not have experience at all than somebody. So let me just cite an example. Let me cite an example. Just like some of you, you don't have. I want to talk to the ladies. Don't have any experience about what is called heartbreak. Nobody has broken your heart before. So you believe every man. When they come, you say, yes, brother so and so has told me that you are the only sugar in my tea. And you will believe because you don't have experience. But Gabriel betrayed you, broke your heart. Joseph broke your heart. Another one broke your heart. Anybody, even if the person is saying the truth, you say, maybe like really. And for you, because you have that experience, your ability to deal with that heartbreak, even if it is coming, will not in any way will not in any way affect your decision making. So it's just that. So the same thing with innate and adaptive. Adaptive is it has gotten a lot of experience. No disease can come and say, you are the only cockroach in my cupboard. You are the only, so say, Mr. Man. If that is where you are going, see, Gabriel told me, somebody that told me more than that, and at the end of the day, we ended up in this. Joseph, oh, do you know that even Joseph has taken me to her father and everybody. I knew everybody. I knew everybody in his family.
Together.
Do you know that even they will just write, they will just go and make t-shirts.
Yes.
T-shirt, they will say, oh, it's this one is 9, 5, 6. Abi o. So what ended it? You now discover that and anytime you see heartbroken is not sudden, no. It's not just sudden. It must have started from somewhere. I'm as okay, see, jọ̀ọ́ má bínú o nǹkan tí mo fẹ́ sọ yìí. See, why you have not called me since morning? You see, I was so busy. So busy. But this thing, I don't understand though. I don't understand you any longer. You see, okay, what do you want me to do then? Should I leave my job and start chatting you? Should I leave my parents? See, please, I want to see. I shall want to just leave me alone.
If you can't cope with me, just move on.
So, and at a point in time, it's not. You just go to start playing videos, telling you story about somebody that has broken somebody's heart and the way the person cope with it, and this one already indirectly it is telling you that very soon you are going to eat the breakfast. So that is that about that. And just like I said, another thing is nutrition. Nutrition is very, very important. The way you are feeding determines the way you are going to look like. Your level of your ability to eat good food, balanced diet will determine your ability to even fight against infection. Abi, if you are not feeding our soldiers well, you are not feeding them well, and you now ask them go and tackle Boko Haram, shame on the family. Which hand is he going to use to carry that gun? So nutrition determines your ability to fight against infection. It determines your ability to even adapt to new environment. It determines a lot of about your ability to grow and develop. So nutrition takes, let me just say that, very vital. So poor diet will lead to stunted growth. Not only that, it's going to reduce brain development. If you are not feeding well, you are not feeding your kids, you are not feeding them well, and you now say, what is the problem? Is it you that suppose out of 55 in the class, you are coming 54? Me, I am not like that. So in fact, during my you are feeding, you are being fed well, but you are not feeding your children or your child well. And how do you now want your child to now do what? To survive. So that's your ability, no inability to eat good diet is going to impact a lot on that. Then adequate nutrients help gene express optimally. See, under normal circumstance, you see, let me just add that example. Is feeding well, you see it from that person now. They will be asking you,
Skincare products.
what is your secret? What is your secret? Not knowing that you cherish. But there are some people, they can, even if you were buying skincare if you focus on skincare, you have the greatest what do we call it? You have greatest dermatologists that are taking care of you, doing everything, and you are not feeding well. The money you're supposed to use to spend on getting good food is what you are using to glow. Honestly speaking, is going to affect you. There are certain genes that will be silent. There are certain genes that will not be expressed optimally. So environmental biology focuses heavily on how external condition modify genetic outcome. So all these are very very important, and gene and environment interaction, that is when you multiply G by E. G is standing for gene and E is standing for environment. Gene environment interaction means that effect of a gene depend on the environment, and the effect of environment depend on the gene. You have to know that. So a plant with gene for tallness may remain short if nutrition or water are limited. Human height is controlled by gene but strongly influenced by childhood nutrition. So if you cannot be a good adult if your childhood is affected, or if your childhood is just like somebody that has very poor grade in primary school, and that person is now wanting to do wonders when the person gets university or secondary school. It is not possible, and that's why they call it primary. Primary means that you cannot see somebody can have primary school but might not have secondary school, and the person will still perform well in life. But somebody that missed primary, nobody taught you how to hold pen, nobody taught you how to write alphabet, nobody taught you how to do a lot of things, writing and all this one. That means when you get to higher level you are going to have a problem. So we are going to look at that. And just because lastly,